But speaking of the 80s, just quickly, because I feel like I left it hanging, is that after I did the team thing, he graduated and went on to direct Adam Sandler movies. I wrote whatever, Steve Brill did. Um, but I stayed in Boston and I started on my own. I started played against Sam's in the basement, doing open mics with Kenny Rogers and everybody else. My last year of college, I was doing open mics that summer, and I drank myself almost to death and was waiting, all night long.
A lot of people have those stories when you bring up Kenny.
Yeah, well, I mean, not
Viper.
with him, but I used to just wait. Back then, you had to wait to go on until everyone else was done for 3 people. I couldn't take it. And then when I graduated college, I moved to Hollywood. I became a doorman at the Comedy Store. I was there for a year, and then I hit the wall on drugs. And I went back to Boston, started over at Catch Rising
Oh, wait
Star.
a minute. Slow down here. Let's do the behind the music here. Marc Maron.
A lot of people
let's
know
hear
that
about
story
the drugs.
already.
No, you don't want to put it out there again?
Oh, no, I don't care. But I mean, people who know me know it. Well, I came out after I graduated college, I already had a pretty good Coke monkey on my back. So I drove out here. I moved in. I was in Culver City living with Steve.
Just out of curiosity, did you start before the ad campaign, Cocaine, the Big Lie?
Oh, of course I started. I started when the ad campaign was Coke, it's good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
no more addicted than caffeine.
Good times. We were all doing it. So I come out here and I move into a place in Culver City with Steve Brill, that guy. We wrote a screenplay, and then I never wanted to talk to him again because it was unbearable. And then I auditioned at the store. To see if I could start doing comedy. And Mitzi said, "You're funny. You can be a doorman." So I immediately moved into Crest Hill, and I was a doorman in 1987. When Kinison was just starting to come to break. And I met.
Wow, you suck.
Well, I met Carl, and Carl was Sam's best friend, and
Carl LeBeau.
Yeah, he gave me a watch and said, "You're good people. When Sam comes back, I want you to meet him." And you don't know this story?
No,
I'll tell it to you. So
you can fly through it. I can tell you're sick of telling it.
No, I'm not. I haven't done it that much, and certainly people on your podcast might not know it. The people that don't listen to both of ours.
Yeah, but they know Sam Kinison. Sam's one of my favorites. This is a selfish fucking moment.
I'll tell you the story. It's a great story.
All right.
So I didn't really know that much about Kinison when I got there. I'd seen him once or twice, but I really dismissed him as this novelty act, this screaming guy, and I wasn't here nor there with him. So when Carl said, I'll introduce you to Sam, I didn't know what that meant. So Sam comes and Carl's like, "This is that guy who's talking to you. He's talking about. He's the new head doorman." And Sam was like, "I was a doorman, so you're the new guy, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, we should hang out and talk." And I'm like, "All right." So I'm living in Crest Hill, so he knows that place too, right? So the first night I ever hang out with Sam Kinison, he comes up to Crest Hill, which is that house Mitzi used to own, and I'm staying there. And Dice used to live there. A lot of people.
So that's that classic house. Just to tell my listeners know, when comics like you would move out to L.A., if Mitzi tapped you on the shoulder and knighted you, you then moved into this house.
Right, where you had to pay rent and also drive the fucking Jeep and get her chicken salad.
Yeah, totally. But like the amount of comedians who lived there.
Oh, yeah, Dice lived there, the Todd lived there. Tamayo, this was the tricky thing. Tamayo Otsuki, who used to date Sam, was a Japanese comic. I don't know what happened to her, but she lived upstairs. I lived in Dice's old room. Todd wasn't moved in yet. I'm trying to think of who.
Who?
Todd Lemish. He later went on to have. He used to call himself the Todd, and he eventually had some sort of aneurysm and showed up at the club saying, years after Sam died, saying Sam's coming, and he was sent to Florida. But it's Schubert lived there for a while.
See, that place is evil.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. So what happens is I'm living up there, and Sam says, let's go up to the house, and this is the way it worked back then. Is Monday night in the late '80s was no cover night. And all the rooms were free. So all the freaks from Hollywood and everywhere came to the store on Monday night. And that was Sam's night. He would show up at about 11:30, 12 o'clock on a Monday, take over the stage in the main room, which was just filled with rock and roll drug freaks and just Sam's people.
This is like hair metal days, right?
All different kinds. Yeah, hair metal. Towards the end of hair metal, yeah. So the people that would come to the club it was pretty spectacular. And I was a doorman. And at that time, the people you'd see on stage were people like Dice, Damon Wayans, Kinison. Pryor was still coming by occasionally.
Jesus Christ.
So I just entered this world, right? So Sam says, let's hang out. So we go up to the house. It's just me and Sam. We're doing coke. He pulls out all this coke. And we're just sitting there. And he's like, so you're the new guy, doing this. And he's looking right in my face. He's like, look me in the eyes, Maron. I like a man who can look me in the eyes. And I'm like, holy shit. All right, I'm looking. Right, so we're sitting there doing coke, and I thought I was Mr. Rock and Roll. I can handle coke, so I'm doing coke with Sam, and he's laying out the world, as Sam, he's doing the thing, like, I'll tell you how it works here, Maron, And then, like, out of nowhere, he goes, hey, Maron, you ever burn money? And I'm like, no. And he's like, let's burn some money. So Sam pulls out these $100 bills, and we start burning money. It's Sam's. I'm figuring, fuck it, yeah, okay, let's burn some money. So we're sitting there burning money, and we're getting fucked up. And it's about 3:34 in the morning, and we're out of coke. And Sam's wasted, and I'm kind of wasted. He's like, "We need more."
You out of money too?
No, he shouldn't have done that to me, because I called that back later, and he wasn't that happy about it. I mean, I made him do it. Like the way this. I'll tell you what happens. This is the first night, so he's like, "We're out of coke. Let's go get some more coke." And I'm like, "All right, I don't know where we're going." So we get in my car. I'm driving like pretty much one of the biggest stars in comedy through the Hollywood Hills at like 3:30 in the fucking morning. He's half passed out in my car, like, and I'm driving like, "Where are we going? Where are we going?" He wakes up and he goes, "I don't even know you. You could kill me." And I'm like, "Where are we going, dude?" So we end up at this guy's house.
Now, at this point, has he stopped being Sam Kinison and has become some annoying guy that you're partying with?
No,
or is he still
he was
Sam?
really good at staying in Sam.
He's still Sam, okay.
Even when he was like sloppy,
Right.
when it got pathetic, he still held on to that thing. And it was always sort of
Have
menacing.
you ever burned money? Dude, I started too fucking late in this business.
All right, so
All the fun was gone.
So we get to this guy's house. This guy, who, as time went on, I grew to know was a hairdresser by day, but was Sam's coke dealer at the time. And it was down on Crescent Heights. It wasn't that far from the store. So we knock on this door. This guy shows up at the door in his bathrobe, clearly woke him up from sleeping. I got Sam there. He's like, "We need some coke." And we barrel into this guy's house, and we're in this guy's bedroom, and Sam just sits on the floor, crashes on the floor. He goes, "You got any booze?" And this guy was like, "I just got these miniatures I got on the plane." So now Sam is sitting there with these like Smirnoff bottles of vodka, drinking these Smirnoff. He looked like a giant. Like, he should have been surrounded by little rock and roll people going, "Sam." And then, like, he passes out on this guy's floor. And, the guy gives me the coke. I end up paying for it. And then I go out.
Was there an Asian guy throwing fireworks in the background?
No. There should have been. There should have been. So I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell to tell you. I'm going to take off. I guess you'll deal with him. He's like, "You're not fucking leaving him here. I don't want him to pull a Belushi on me." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." So now I got to, get him up and walk him out and throw him in the car. And he was big. And I get him back to the house. We go in. He doesn't even do the coke. He ends up crawling on the floor in the living room, just laying on the floor and passing out, which is something he did a lot. Because that house became the party house.
Was he draped in the scarves and 12 fucking head wraps?
Not yet. I mean, This
Okay.
is early Sam, so it was still just a trench coat and a cap, dude. This is pre-rock and roll Sam.
Jeez, I don't have any story that can match this. I'm
Well,
riveted.
the
Go ahead.
story, the falling out was the better story. I mean, because like that year,
Well, how does that night end? He just passes out.
he passes out, and then he wakes up, and then we build this bond. I get sucked into the Kinison entourage, and I'm now like doing my graduate work and cutting coke for Sam Kinison, and it was my job at that point to organize the party. Like Sam would do this every Monday night. It became very taxing, because I knew he was coming, and what would happen is he'd show up, and the fucking party would start. And like he'd show up at the store, he'd give me a couple $100, and I'd go buy all the booze and cigarettes and mixers that everyone needed to bring up to the house. So I would get into this pattern. After a while, I knew how long the party could go on for. It could go on for 2 or 3 days.
I've known you 15 years. I had no idea you did this stuff.
Yeah, so I used to get this shit. So I'd go buy all this booze, but I know what would happen is that he'd show up with 20 people, and then come day 2 or 3, it'd just be me and Sam and some freaks. Like, it'd end up like 8 people. So I would hide liquor all around the house.
Now,
and
are you up for the 3 days? Is
Yeah,
it that
yeah,
hardcore? Gee, how the fuck did you write any jokes?
Well, I was only working the belly room, and we were all in the comedy store school, in the Sam school, which is like you lived your life as hard as possible, and you got up there and you fucking did the work.
Well, did other newer comedians resent you that you got into the Sam's
No,
entourage?
because like at that time, it was like, who the fuck would want to be in that entourage? I mean,
Right.
at that time, the guy who used to be Mitzi's assistant was like, he used to call us the Manson family, because Sam was like this weird charismatic freak that dwelled in the underworld, and most of the comics there were sort of like just working comics. I mean, he was one of a kind.
That's what always blew my mind. If I can just stop this for just half a second, was where did guys like Seinfeld fit in? Because he was around during that time. Like, I just can't imagine like that universe where there was like that level of partying. He would just come in.
But he was singular in that he celebrated it. I mean, there's a lot of comics, as you know, and as we all know, that had their abuse and substance problems, but they would try and hide it and just do their job. There were plenty of hacky comics that were fucked up on drugs.
Right.
But the fact that Sam had to live the life as the Beast, like, I'm the Beast, he had to honor it. So he was the first one that was shameless about it. And then you'd see all these other comics that I don't need to drop names or mention names,
Right.
where they'd come around and, they'd hang out and do some blow, but they wouldn't want to be tagged with it. There was a lot of guys that would hang out and do coke and be like, don't tell nobody. I mean, I saw a lot of that.